This is that period where we test and see if we're actually live. There has to be a better way than this. Has to be a better way. Normally it comes out really quickly these days.
Like,
Yay!
Seems like we're live.
Yeah, I think it's working.
Yep.
Yep. In which case,
Play.
I'm going to flick this button and make us all appear on the screen. Yay! That's great. We're all live. Hello. Thanks for making the time to come see us again. This is getting to be quite a thing. Started out as a let's see how this goes, and now it's a bit of a thing we do every single week. So today, for the WP Builds news, can I do it? Yes! First time ever. Got it right. First time. Nice. There's Paul Lacey over there. Introduce yourself, Paul. Hello.
Hello. So I'm Paul Lacey. I am the co-founder of the Dicky Birds studio. Forgot what my company was called then. Dicky Birds something or other.
Will do.
Dicky Birds Studio, WordPress and UX agency in the UK. And I'm also the global ambassador for RunCloud, which is a control panel to help you manage your own cloud servers.
It's a nice pitch, and it's getting to be quite a refined. Yeah, you're getting good at that. Apart from the fact you forgot your company name, which is but apart from that, it's good. So down, yes, this one's easy because right there is Jan Koch. Hello, Jan. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks for having me. Absolutely. I run WP Mastery, which is a WordPress service-based agency. So we maintain client websites mostly. We do custom plugin development and theme development as well, but focus is maintenance.
Thank you very much for joining us. So it's the first time that Jan has... Oh, no, it's not. It's not, is it? You came on a previous occasion, if I remember rightly. So I'm going to ignore. I'm definitely not going to say that. But down here. Yes, I'm feeling so good about myself. I'm getting this right. Just there, at stupid o'clock, all the way from Australia, we have Jay Okey. Hi, thanks for joining us, Jay.
Hi guys, Jay from Launch Digital Group. So we're a web development and digital marketing agency in Melbourne, Australia. So yeah.
Thank you very much. It's like 11 o'clock at night where he is, so he's drinking the Red Bull or something to keep himself going. For those of you that don't, for those of you that haven't joined us before, we're just sort of going to talk through the WP Builds news article, and I'll show you how you'll find what we're talking about. If you go over to wpbuilds.com, like you can see on the screen now, over here we have the little archives tab, and if you click on News Archive, the latest one is always in this top left-hand corner, and you can see what we're going to talk about. These are all the articles that we'll be banging on about today. Just in case you haven't done before, if you go to this subscribe tab over here, then you can actually fill out this form, this first one here, which will get you updates about when we bring out those newsletters. It may be something that you're interested in. If not, don't fill out the form. You'd be an absolute idiot to do that. Without further delay, let's put our beautiful special guest back on, and we'll crack on with today's bit of WordPress news, if that's all right. How are you guys feeling? Are you all ready for this?
Absolutely.
Great. Okay,
Yeah,
let's crack on. Please, you guys, interrupt me if there's anything you want to say. Otherwise, I'll just sort of drone on and on. The first one, we have these four or five different categories, and the first category that I always get stuck into is WordPress core. And our kind of like stock news website, the place where we get most of our news from is WP Tavern, which if you haven't come across it before, you definitely should subscribe to their stuff, because that's where we get, I would say, a good 70+% of everything that we talk about. And this article is all about Gutenberg 6.1, introducing animation to block movements. And then they've got this block-based widget screen experiments. I don't think I'm going to go into the screen experiments bit, but this block animations is dead cool. We talked about this before because it was just the kernel of an idea. But the principle is that if you've got blocks that you're using the new, the Gutenberg editor, and you've got blocks and you want to move them around, when you hover over the left-hand side, this little up and down thing appears. And depending on the size of the block, it can be a bit janky and a bit sort of jarring moving them around. Well, now, through the power of JavaScript, they now sort of slide around. And I know it's a little thing, that changing from like a quick to a slow sort of slide, but it makes all the difference. I do this a lot moving blocks around, especially for these news posts. And when they get really large and I want to move, a chunk at the same time, just to have an idea of where it's gone will be really cool. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. If anybody's played with it or wants to talk about it, go for it.
Yeah,
I've got a question actually.
Okay.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say that they have to be careful for not doing too many animations. I think it's easy to fall into the trap to animate everything just because you can.
Yeah.
So
yep.
I'm not sure if... I mean, this animation with sliding up and down certainly
That's
is
it.
helpful and provides a better UX, but depending on what they plan to add in the future, might be a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Yeah. Sorry. Go on, Paul.
The article says that the Gutenberg plugin uses. So does that mean that this isn't part of the core editor update?
Well, that's an interesting thing.
So, I think the way Gutenberg is working is that they've got, you can still install Gutenberg as a plugin, and that's effectively the beta. So if you can run WordPress 5.2, and then you can install Gutenberg, and that actually overrides what's in core. So the plugin itself is actually the beta of what will be in the next release. So I had the similar. So I had a similar sort of thought to Janet in terms of the things that sort of were concerning me was, if they start overusing animation because things look cool and aren't necessarily thinking about the experience. But I think in this case, the motion actually does add to, the experience of the editing in this instance.
Yeah.
I can definitely say, I mean, at the moment, all I'm doing is moving tiny 2 or 3 sentence paragraphs up and down. And so that's pretty obvious because I don't know if you've played with it a lot. The mouse absolutely is cemented to the arrow. So it doesn't matter how many times you click it, everything moves and you're still stuck at the same place. So that was good. But this just feels nicer, especially with big blocks like they showed in the video. Like if you move a picture up, suddenly it just sort of zooms, everything zooms down beneath it and you get a real feel for it. So yeah, a point agreed. Anyway, it's coming, whether we like it or not. So there we go. All right, the next one, I should say, is all about, hang on, I've just sort of pressed the wrong button, so I'm just going to quickly go back and started in a new tab instead. There we go, much better. This one is again on the WP Tavern, and I'm really liking this. And the title of the article is WordPress Theme Review Team Seeks to Curb Obtrusive Admin Notices with New Requirement to Follow Core Design Patterns. Now, we've all been here. I'm sure we've all complained about going in and seeing massive obtrusive, let's call them adverts for want of a better thing, because that's basically what they are. Lots of promotion, upselling. And so this is the first step to require themes, I presume, just going into .org on the repo, to use the admin_notices API, and that will output the very familiar traditional super minimal WordPress version of these pop-ups, if you like, for want of a better word. And I'm all for this. Now, I'm not coming from the point of view of having to ship a product and try to get awareness around a product. I'm just coming from the point of view of an end user. But to me, this is all good.
100%. It's funny that one of the examples I used was
Storefront.
What is it?
Storefront. Yeah, their own.
I thought that too.
I just thought that's hilarious. Yeah, the one thing that's interesting though, because even though they basically are making admin notices, you have to use the default style. It doesn't get people away from pop-ups and things like that.
No, true.
They show an example.
Yeah.
Which, that was, I was a bit surprised that those sort of notices won't be, outlawed or, removed or penalised in this review at least. I don't know how that makes you go.
Yeah,
I was also surprised
I
to see that they only target themes at this point. So maybe it's just like a test to see how the community reacts, and then they roll it out to plugins too. Because what I can see, as Nathan mentioned, we're coming from it right now from the end user perspective. But being in a theme business or plugin business, those messages actually might contribute to quite a bit of revenue, quite a bit of bottom line. So it will be interesting to see how the community reacts to that.
I wonder if there's like a sensible middle ground where, let's say, the admin area of your own plugin or theme, where you can just go nuts, do what you like in there, but anywhere else, leave it alone. That's out of bounds. So basically, you've got the permission. I mean, here's me suggesting something, not that it's going to happen, but you have the permission if you run a plugin or a theme to do what you like in there and tick people off or not in there. But in all the other areas, just leave it alone. That strikes me as maybe a sensible balance, and people will make their own judgment about whether they want to use things or not. But I'm sure that won't happen, despite the fact that I've said it, and I thought it would be a good idea.
I think when you look at the available notice designs that you've got, I think there's like 4 or something. It's difficult, I think, for anyone who does have a premium theme to get any attention in any of those 4. It feels like maybe if they're going to take that away, then there should be a new thing that is specifically to tell people that there is a premium upgrade for this particular product, because those, the red, the green, the blue, and the orange notices are just more or less invisible to me now.
Okay.
They're just getting in my way. They're just like literally getting in my way. I'm like, you're pushing my page down. Give me my page back. So maybe if there was like a block out color one, because on websites, those bars seem to be more effective. The notification bars seem to be more effective than big massive pop-ups these days. So something in some kind of middle ground, like you guys were saying, would be nice. Some kind of blocked out bar color or something.
Yeah.
Maybe something. I think I've seen it.
Go ahead.
You go. No, you go. That's all right.
Okay, so I was just suggesting that maybe they could find a way to embed the logo of the plugin or theme or something like that in that notification, so that it gets a little bit of branding at least.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
That the overall container could stay in the WordPress look and feel, but then they have the logo for branding purposes.
Yeah, I think I've seen in some themes where you install the free theme from the repo, and then there's a premium extension. Sometimes in the customizer, maybe you see. Sometimes, more extensions or more flexibility. I can notice in there that seems to be where a lot of people go to customize the theme. At least that might be a good middle ground. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a nice place to put it. It just feels like that's where as you're customizing, you're kind of looking for features, and then you're wondering if there's any more, and that's the point exactly when you would see that and you'll say, oh, let's just see what these extra features are, and then you can see and make a decision without pop-ups and things taking over all the time. We
have a variety of different WordPress users in our Facebook group. I don't know if anybody that's watching this or does in fact end up watching it has a different opinion, because coming from a developer's perspective, maybe this screen estate is super valuable. Maybe you can literally say 50% of my revenue is generated from those banners, and I can prove it, in which case, crikey, we're on a losing battle with that then, aren't we? Because we clearly don't want to destroy your revenue model. But equally, from a user's perspective, I just think they've got out of hand. It's just some of them are massive. Some of them don't occupy a line. Some of them occupy the entire UI. That's an exaggeration, maybe a half, but big nevertheless. And I think that's the problem. They're just a bit garish. There's no kind of conformity. I don't know how it works if you're like an app developer for Android or iOS, but my feeling is that those platforms have spent quite a lot of time ensuring that you can't do stuff like this, to make that experience, especially on the Apple side, to make that experience as coherent as possible. And I think everybody wins in that situation. Okay. Well, we've done that one. That's nice. I think there was general consensus between us lot anyway. Okay, there is a little article here which just kind of piqued my attention. Again, it's on WP Tavern. The reason I'm mentioning this is because it was just a little bit like what you were just saying about. Now, what was it? What was just a moment ago, somebody spoke about the kind of like the fact that they were in competition with themselves. Oh, that was it. There was something about Jetpack or something, putting these pop-ups up. This is a bit strange because we've got this thing called the News Project, which is a kind of like non-profit version of WordPress, if you like. And they've launched this this version of WordPress. And it seems to be really nice. You can modify and get a simple news website up and running. And apparently this is like a vertical that needs this sort of stuff a lot. You press a button, got yourself a news feed. It's probably for small town journalism and things like that. Press a button, get yourself a version of WordPress. And it seems to be in direct competition with Newspack, which is an Automatic, I believe, owned company. And yet Automatic are giving these guys money. So the News Project are getting money from Automatic. They also run Newspack. So I'm a bit puzzled as to where we sit with all this. To be honest, it's a bit of a strange one, but nice to see this kind of stuff. By the way, Jay appears to have dropped out. I don't know if that was his don't know if that was his video or his audio. But Paul, you are now, like, we can see, I would say, about a third of your face. If you go slightly to your left, look how weird that is. That's better.
It looks normal to me.
Yeah. If you look at it in the Facebook group, you'll notice that. So it's gone from being four nice little.
I'm looking forward to this. I'm an alien, really.
It's gone from being four nice little rectangles to three sort of mobile phone profiles.
So I can see. That's bizarre. Yeah, it's like Dallas. It reminds me of the opening credits to Dallas or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, let's hope.
I'm trying to get in.
Let's hope Jay can come back in.
Because then it'll save. Maybe then I'll look normal.
Yeah, no, you'll be far too far over to the other side.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Do you guys want to talk about that? Is any of this of interest to you? If not, I'll just move on to the next one. And at the same time, I'm going to try and get Jay back in. Let's see if we can get Jay back in.
I just tried adding him too, and he doesn't seem to be connected currently.
Okay. I'm going to call him up anyway. We're using Skype to make these connections, so we'll see how that goes. But anybody on this Newspack project?
I don't fully understand what it is. I've tried to understand by briefly reading the article and still don't fully get it. But it reminds me of something really funny that I saw as a lifetime deal on. I'm always hunting out these lifetime deals and stuff, and there's this one called Addictive. And it's for build viral addictive sites with automated content. And apparently what you do is you buy this product, then you choose what your site is about, pick how often to make new posts, monetize with ads and affiliate products, and done, you're going to be rich. So I'm going now, guys.
What could possibly
I'm not going to waste any more time doing this. I'm going
I'm
going now. I think that's where Jay's gone. I told him about it earlier, and so but it was such a ridiculous. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, it's that easy. Yeah, you just set up a site and put some ads on, and you'll be rich, like money like that. Spend $49, you're done.
I know what you mean. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to offer this sort of downloadable version of WordPress, which is basically already completely configured for a small-time news organization. So it does, presumably it's got, custom post types and templates for laying things out so that things are, I don't know, in sidebars and what have you. I can't say that I've played with it, but it just seems weird that venture is being given money by Automatic, and at the same time another absolute rival in just literally doing what seems to be the exact same thing is also being given money and has in fact been taken under the wing of WordPress.com VIP. So they gave them 6 figures a little while ago. So maybe it's just Automatic being incredibly nice. But in the article written by Jeff Chandler, to quote, he says, "I don't understand why Automatic would invest in the news project and then create a vertical on WordPress.com that solves the exact same problem." And that's kind of where I'm going with this, is doesn't it seem sensible to sort of invest in one version and make that one work, get everybody on that one and so on? But I don't know, it's just a strange thing.
Well, maybe the investment gives them some insights of the data of the other platform. Like I'm just guessing here. I have no idea. But maybe they use this as a testing platform or something, or just as another source of information to improve their own platform. Because I think the market is big enough for at least 2 big players in that field.
Yep.
So maybe that's where they're coming from.
It's interesting, obviously we're always playing with WordPress, so the idea of setting up a WordPress site that would work for a news agency, I'm sure that all of us could probably knock something out in a couple of days that would fit the bill, mostly. But I guess Maybe Jay's coming back. Hello,
There he
Jay.
is.
Nice to have you. We're just about to finish one thing, Jay, so we'll just wrap this one up and then we'll get on to the next one. Maybe it's just easy for us, whereas somebody, a typical newsroom, maybe on a really tight budget, all they want is to press a button. Okay, it works, great. We'll fiddle with things in the customizer. We'll put a logo in there. As it says, you can customize the logo. You can, change the design slightly, and you're good to go. So, so it just seems strange in the community section having two exact same things. So we'll move on. There was an article that I linked to in here all about 10up releasing a new plugin that shows how to extend Gutenberg's document panel with this idea of slot fill and filters. I'm not really minded to talk about that unless one of you wants to take that one on. I can't remember, Paul, what it was that you said you were going to be involved in, whether that was one of them.
Wasn't that one? Because
No.
that's another one I don't even understand.
Okay.
To be honest, so.
Well,
I agree.
I won't get into it. Essentially, I think it's just like a way that 10up have made to add sections, let's call them slots and fills. Slots being like a container, and fills being what you put inside of it, and it's just a way of doing it. If I won't go into it, to be honest, because it sounds like
how I understood it was like it's a new version of meta boxes.
Exactly.
Like when you have their custom fields, and now they're just in a different location with the editor.
Yep.
New editor.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's not dwell on that one then, because it's obviously something that's beyond our. Anyway, if you're into Gutenberg and you're into like the cutting edge, the bleeding edge of all things happening in Gutenberg, go check that article out because there's something going on. The other thing that I'm going to link to this week is the future of websites. Now, this is on Scotch.io, and it's all about headless CMS. And the reason I'm linking to this is because last week we got into a bit of a tangle, didn't we, Paul? There was quite a few of us, and none of us were really that keen to sort of stick our necks out and say, yeah, I get what a headless CMS is. So I put that article in, and it kind of explained what a headless CMS is. I literally can't see myself getting involved with this anytime soon, because it's just way beyond the capabilities of what I can afford to spend my time on, the decoupling of the front end from the back end. But in order to gain an understanding of it, this is quite a nice article. I don't know if any of you guys have ever played with that kind of stuff or want to dwell on it.
Yeah, but it was a long time ago, man.
Yeah.
Seriously, like 10 years ago, or whenever it was, I used to do some work with an agency who only did Flash sites. And so here's like the ultimate nightmare for WordPress. We would hack away at the core, 28 or whatever it was, WordPress, hack away at that core parent theme, and then try and get it to output XML, and then we'd have a Flash file on the front importing that XML and sort of showing content in different places. And it was just wrong in all sorts of ways. And I remember when the website got hacked, there was just like random stuff inside the Flash file, presenting itself on the website. It was pretty funny. But so on that basis, I should probably stay well away from headless CMSs for a while.
It just strikes me that having the admin UI connected to the front end, it totally is a paradigm that works for me. Absolutely what I want. I don't want the the burden of dealing with all that sort of stuff, but I can well imagine that it's highly useful in all sorts of ways, because you can basically sock multiple things in and push multiple things out. So, you don't just have to get it from the UI, the admin UI of WordPress. You can get it from anywhere, put anything in, push anything out. So, anyway, the point being, there's a nice explainer that I found that I thought might educate not only us, but those people who were a bit confused last week as well. Anything else before I move on?
I was going to say, I think headless CMS, it sort of seems to be what all the cool kids are talking about nowadays. It's something that definitely, interests me from a academic standpoint, but, like you said, like I don't necessarily see myself using this with most of my clients. Particularly the area that's sort of interesting is that, if you're detaching the CMS from the front end, it's going to make it very difficult for clients to, produce the content and get a visual representation of what they're actually putting onto screen. So I kind of wonder about this from a user perspective. But one of the things I found reading the article, myself at least, is that I always find reading these type of things is like, how do they do it? Because I felt like it sort of tells you what it is, but it doesn't necessarily implement like how it's actually implemented. So you know, there's sort of like that middle layer. If you're, you know, you go, okay, cool, we've got the admin front end, but okay, we've got that, but how do we get the data to, you know, to display on the screen or display somewhere in a, you know, in an app or on the website? So I felt like that in terms of understanding how this new technology works, or it's actually been around for a while, but it's probably a new term for something that's been around. I didn't feel like they explained that sort of middle piece, like how it gets output to somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think they just referred to using APIs as the connection brick. I've dabbled around with this, with the REST API in WordPress like last year or something. But it's, as you said, it's nothing for the majority of clients to work with, because at least from the clients we work with, they all at some point want to edit the content themselves and want to sometimes even use a page builder like Elementor or something, Beaver Builder, Visual Composer, whatever, to just move stuff around. And I don't see how that would work seamlessly.
Also sort of adds the extra complexity of what about dynamic data, or what about data where the user's actually supplying it. So like, how do you, I mean, Netlify, for example, is they've got a forms solution where, you know, it can handle submission of forms, but also in terms of the way it works is obviously with these headless CMSs, a lot of them, you know, if you use Gatsby or Gridsome, which are the two popular front-end frameworks for it, usually what happens is, you know, you edit the page, you publish it, and then the whole website rebuilds. They're starting to make it a little bit more intelligent now, but you know, that you've got to effectively have this script that runs the entire thing, rebuilds the entire website, then uploads it to the place that you're actually hosting it, which is separate from where you're, you know, where the back end is from. So it's it's an interesting thing, but I think the vast majority of people out there, you know, the people that most people work with, you know, it's not something that we're going to be using for a long time.
In the comments in the Facebook group, Leo Mindel has said that headless will be core long term as it makes sites faster. Also, if you want to power apps on other platforms, then headless really works. I'm sure Leo's right. However, Leo, just a couple of quick things coming right at you. Leo was commenting on the poor quality of my audio the other day, and what he said was, get yourself a couple of egg boxes, you know, and whatnot, and your sound quality will be better. So, Leo, I have an egg box. And honestly, mate, I've put it in the room, I've then taken it out the room, and it's made no difference to the audio quality whatsoever. So, you know.
You've just reminded me of something. I've got some sad news. Yesterday, one of our chickens was taken by the fox. So rest in peace. Rest in peace, Maisie.
From WP Builds to Poultry World. How did this happen?
Exactly.
Oh, Paul, I'm
you
sad.
Showed me egg boxes, and now I'm going to cry. No, it's, you know, it goes with the territory of having chickens, I think. But you know, fox came right in the middle of the day, and all we got was a pile of feathers in evidence of where she'd been. So that's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sad. I don't know how I can segue that successfly onto WordPress plugins and themes.
I segued from your egg box to that, so you know, back to you. What do you got?
Literally nothing. Let's not segue. Let's just go straight in. Anyway, I think Leo's probably right. Realistically, you know, speeding things up and making things much more complicated. The possibilities much more complicated. So he's probably right.
I definitely
feels
agree
like it would make it more secure as well. Like, you know, we're just like seeing like this plugin's hacked, this theme's hacked, this blah blah blah. Client, you know, I've logged into a client's website this morning, and you know, I'm not surprised how many times she's been hacked, because you just see what the people are doing on their own, and there's like 58 plugins installed and everything, and there's some old security plugin in there or something which has been abandoned a long time ago. And then the idea of the headless CMS, you know, it feels like if you generate something and all the hard work's done there, and then you push it to the cloud somewhere, and then every time a change has happened, because that process right now, people feel like, oh, that's a bit clunky and slow. But I do think that a lot of systems are going towards, you know, if you want you know, opt-in boxes popping up and stuff like that, you'll probably more and more in the future use SaaS-based products and stuff like that. So I think like the core functionality will draw back a bit. in 5 years' time, I don't know how many years, but if we're still doing this show in 5 years' time, we might be saying, remember when we didn't think we'd have a headless CMS?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll be doing
I definitely agree with you in terms of, I think it's just not for the average use case at the moment. It's not there yet. Like, I used to do websites for events, and you build a website and the event website's still there 5-6 years later and they haven't updated it. So I ended up in the past just building static sites because they didn't need anything apart from, okay, here's the information about the event. They didn't even need a contact form. They were just, just the event information, the speakers and things like that. It's definitely attractive from a security perspective. Especially if it's, you generate the website and then you could even take the back end down if it's effectively, if the website's not going to be there, they're not going to update the site for sure.
Okay, I'm going to move this one on. Onto plugins and themes, and the first one that I've got is again WP Tavern, as always, featuring massively. Such good stuff happening over there. This is all about something called the Chaplin theme, which apparently is like a really nice kind of milestone in the ability for us to have a truly free Gutenberg ready theme. I haven't played with it, I don't know a great deal about it, but the article's quite long. They go into the why this is a good thing, how it works, and actually to be fair, when you look at the theme and you're thinking to yourself about a typical client website that you might put out that you wish to produce in a couple of days, this really does seem to tick all the boxes, and the fact that you can do it all in Gutenberg, and I seem to be seeing this more and more. I can't remember, somebody a couple of days ago showed me a website and they proudly said I did it all in Gutenberg, and I remember thinking, boy, that's really good. It's really nice, beautiful layout, everything padded, and columns and rows, and all looks really nice. So anyway, that was this. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to play with it or have any thoughts, or indeed have played with creating an entire website yet, but maybe this is something to stick in your arsenal of themes. It's the Chaplin theme, and it's designed for the block editor.
The theme looks wonderful.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then just going to the website, and this guy Anders Noren, if I've pronounced that correct. So I've never heard of him before because I'm kind of in a little bubble around GeneratePress really, and that's all I use. But what an amazing achievement! This guy's got like 20 themes or something, and they're all free. And he's got like a donate button on his site, and just making these awesome, lovely little themes, and then doing something really, just leading the way like this with Gutenberg, and showing how the entire theme can be made. I'm sure that the header is like isn't made from Gutenberg and stuff, but that basically it's ready to go, that you could actually launch a website instead of a page builder with this theme if you wanted to, and get up and running really, really quick for free.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm sure that if you're used to using a page builder, this will have, the limitations in terms of what you can customize with the layouts and what have you will be frustrating. But if you were just using previously, a paid for theme that you got somewhere, or a free theme, and then suddenly you wanted to see what Gutenberg was capable of, it's suddenly going to make your life a whole lot easier. And the story continues. It's just like the next step in the road of what Gutenberg can do, and no doubt in the years to come it will start to take over all of those capabilities.
It's a good benchmark at the moment, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Actually, the mailpoet.com website is entirely Gutenberg too.
Which one?
Just mailpoet.com.
Okay.
Looks really, really good.
Okay.
It is custom built though.
Right.
But
yeah.
Shows kind of the capabilities what Gutenberg can do.
Be interesting to see see what a complete novice could turn out with this Chaplin theme. Give them a couple of days and say, okay, here you go. Here's a bunch of stock images. Off you go. Reproduce your website or the website of your choice. And I think that's where it's going.
Pretty sure a complete novice would have trouble with that, but in terms of like a benchmark of what is achievable if you wanted to, it's there.
Yep.
By the way, GeneratePress.com is all on Gutenberg as well.
Yep.
That's we didn't build that when we designed it, but Tom Osborne didn't want to use a page builder because he didn't want to show any allegiance to a particular page builder, and he was much more comfortable using Gutenberg than a page builder anyway. So
Fair enough.
he built all the layouts on that with Gutenberg.
Yeah, I mean, with Gutenberg, if you can build custom blocks, if you've got the budget, obviously, to do that, skills, like anything's achievable. It could effectively be a page builder if you build design the blocks yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at Mailpilot, and Mailpilot's, if that's all Gutenberg, that's incredibly beautiful.
It is.
What you can do with it.
Yeah.
Clever people.
Really cool.
Speaking of page builders, that's a fairly decent segue. I'm happy with that one. Elementor, the page builder of choice of many people. This week they released something they call it an iconic release, somewhat tongue in cheek. They've updated Elementor 2.6. Up to Font Awesome 5, which apparently takes the total of icons from something like 675 up to over 1,500. They've got this new UI for selecting icons, which I have to say looks glorious. I really think they've hit one out of the park there. It's just really nice. All of the icons are in this little square little card, for want of a better word, and they've also offered the ability to upload your own SVG options so that you can put your own icons in there as well. And so if you're an Elementor user, this is coming your way. I don't know if this is beta yet or just already available, but looks great. A total home run as far as I'm concerned. I think they've done a wonderful job with that.
Yeah, I'm looking through the comments in the blog post, and there's a few people asking the question I'd want to answer as well, which is anyone who owns Font Awesome Pro, can they easily, which I do, I have a license for Font Awesome Pro, and we use it all the time because it's really, you got so many more icons and all the different, weights and stuff like that. I can see a few people asking if you can implement Font Awesome Pro into it. Can we use Font Awesome Pro ? And then Ben Pine said it's already out in beta. So I think that indicates that maybe if you do have Font Awesome Pro, that you can integrate it with this system.
Nice.
I think that's what I'd want it to do if I was using Elementor, for sure.
Yeah.
It would make life a lot easier.
So you would just presumably add some sort of API key or some sort of license key, and then you would have the...
I guess
so.
Okay.
Oh, nice. I mean, whether or not that's possible, I still think the UI that they've created is wonderful. Really nice, clear, easy to use, filterable, all the good stuff. I like it a lot.
Yeah. I'd like them to be able to maybe add SVG and do whatever, inline them rather than just then have them as separate files. That'd be a nice feature add in the future potentially as well.
Alex Kalinov in the comments has just said that was already released in the main plugin. However, the Elementor Pro is bringing Font Awesome Pro integration. So he's using the word beta and bringing. So I presume it's, as you've said with Ben Pines, it's a little way off still to come. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, with Elementor, it's a little way off. That's like what?
Probably about 8 minutes from now it'll be ready. They're just having a drink of tea before they push the deploy button. Right, let's change tack again. Still with plugins and themes. I'm going to hand this one over to you, Paul. This is the Updraft one. I don't know if you've got that on your screen already, but it was Updraft making some announcements about their capabilities to spin up vanilla installs.
That's right. They've announced a new feature to spin out empty WP installs with a couple of clicks. Now, I think what this means, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I can't see the point of just being able to spin out WordPress installs, because you can do that with most hosts anyway, but what I assume this means is that you can spin out an install to your cloud that is, part of your Updraft Pro account. I think that's what they're saying here, but it's difficult to fully understand what the point of this is unless that's what it is.
I was a little bit puzzled why you would want to create a vanilla install. The only situation I was thinking maybe testing a plugin on a completely vanilla version just to see what the capabilities were like. Seems like a bit of a weird edge case. Maybe it was requested a lot, but anyway, if you're an Updraft Plus user, there it is. It's usable. It's ready to go, but I can't see Why?
Yeah, because I can see the URL in the screenshots. The URL of like the cloned website, the blank install is like a load of stuff, then .updraftclone.com. So I'm guessing that it does mean that you can, let's say we all wanted to have a quick go with the Gutenberg theme that that we were talking about a minute
Chaplin,
ago.
yeah.
Then we'd happen to have an account with Updraft, then we could just not bother doing it on our hosting. We could just spin up a quick account and check out Chaplin theme and see what it's like.
Yeah.
I guess that's what it's for, which is kind of useful in some situations, I guess.
That's actually the use case they mentioned in the post as example as well. To quote, the service is primarily designed for testing things out on a temporary throwaway site. So I think you're totally on point here.
Okay. So yeah, if you've got a plug-in theme, something that you want to try out, you can now click a button in Updraft Plus, and it's a button, right? You click a button. They've made something which was probably trivially easy for the likes of you guys, even easier. So it's not something that we need to worry about. But maybe their core audience is people who that is fraught with danger. They hate the idea of installing WordPress. That's just beyond what they can cope with. And there you go. It's just another little thing that they are capable of. Next one up is all about WP Compress, which is a compression platform. I'm going to call it a SaaS platform because in effect that's what it is. You install WP Compress and they compress it on their end and then send it back to you. But they've got a few new things in version 4. And I'm seeing, Jay, you've put your name against this one. Was there anything you... I see you've taken your name off it.
Yeah. No, I didn't think there was too much to say, but I thought it's quite interesting in terms of adding adaptive images, so dynamically resizing images for screen sizes and delivering WebP where it's supported as well, which is another really good feature. Integrating the CDN is pretty interesting as well. I think ShortPixel recently did that as well. So
did you mention WebP just then as well? Did you just say that? I wasn't. Yeah.
So it said generating and delivering WebP images for WordPress. So one thing I find interesting that WP Compress does over, say, ShortPixel and some other plugins, and maybe some of the other plugins are doing it now, but they store your backups in the cloud.
Yeah.
So that's quite an interesting, especially if you've got a large website with thousands of images. That's quite a boon, really, if you've got it. But
so
that's all I need to say.
So the sort of the sort of takeaways are that they've got this CDN. They've added adaptive images. I don't know. There was no mention really about how they actually do that. How they make the decision that, okay, we're on a mobile device, we're going to serve up. I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't see how that worked, but the idea is that we load the image which is most suitable in size from their CDN, which they've got WebP images as well. And one thing which I really like about this platform is like the clear pricing model as well. They've got basically if you upload an image, that's it. That image is the image, and all the other variations. So if you've got 58 different thumbnail sizes, then that's just counted as one image. So that's nice and clear. Whereas I think some of the other services kind of you have to pay for those 58 images as separate. So that's kind of nice. But anyway, James Cantoni, who represents WP Compress, he was watching this earlier. I don't know if he still is, but there we go. Version 4 has rolled out with some new features. And Paul, you're going to take the next one, which is also version 4, but this is WPMU Dev's Hustle plugin.
Yeah, so they've called it just, like you say, 4.0 as well. So it's quite a major update to their plugin. I don't use this plugin, but I know I do have an account with WPMU, and funny enough, we were talking about image optimization. The main reason I use it is for the pro version of WP Smush, but Hustle is a bit like the similar products to it would be Thrive Leads or Convert Pro by Brainstorm Force or Opt-in Monster, those sort of things. So it does those sort of things, and they've done a massive update to it that looks pretty good, to be honest. It looks like something that I really need to revisit from my account. and go and have a look in there. Most recently, I've been using things like ConvertFull and ConvertBox, which are both SaaS-based products to do this, because I really like that concept, because I can log into one dashboard and manage all sites from there. It feels like maybe WPMU Dev do have the power to do that. I could see them launching a version of this plugin as a SaaS platform where you could actually use it to manage all your sites that you have the WPMU plugin installed on, which would be wonderful. So please, can you do that, please? But it's a really funny written article, actually. It's I think in one of the parts it says, "Okay, sit down, grab a beer, and let's take a look." And it's just, I don't know who wrote this article.
I bet it's
sure
Josh
says,
Daly. I would bank anything on it being Josh. Josh, I was lucky enough to meet Josh in
you're right, it is Josh Daly.
WordCamp Europe, and he's a really solid, really nice guy. And he writes all their stuff, and he's the guy that does the. Have you ever watched their videos where they sort of adopt this of WPMU Dev, that kind of voice. Yeah. Smush is gonna squash your images, that kind of thing. That's all him, and he's really, really fabulous guy. And I think their UI on all of their stuff, which they're now supporting, is really nice. It's not. It's their own, it's not quite WordPress, but they've also gone to the lengths of, if you want to get rid of all that superhero stuff, you can tick a box and make it go away. So I like it, and they're moving a lot of stuff into, they've got their hub and what have you, and they've got hosting as an offering now as well. But I think the takeaways from this one is that you can link it. I quite like this. You can link their, like, let's say that somebody fills in your lead generation pop-up or whatever it is. You can send it to multiple locations, which I think is quite nice. So you could send it to, I don't know, you could send it to MailChimp, and you could send it to Drip, and you could send wherever you want, all at the same time. I think that's quite nice.
That's pretty standard with the SaaS-based tools,
yes,
but isn't with the WordPress-based
That's right.
ones. I mean, talking about the user interface as well, they call it the SUI. It says here, you've heard of system user interface, but have you heard of a sexy user interface? And so it's just another one. It's just hilarious to read through this, but I don't want to focus too much on those silly bits, but I mean, the user interface does look fantastic. The user interface for how you set your rules on where this pop-up or bar should appear look really good. And the only issue with the article I had at all was that somewhere it says, and it also works with our newsletter plugin, and then you click the link to the newsletter plugin, it takes you to, we're not supporting all our plugins anymore.
They can't get everything right in one article.
Update, though.
They've also taken steps to sort of, I think, expunge user data, so that if you're GDPR, if you're still freaking out about GDPR and all that kind of stuff, you can make sure that all goes away, and you're not tracking anybody or storing any of that sort of stuff. And they make claims about the performance being better than it previously was. But anyway, nice update. And it's a company. What's that?
Sorry, I was just going to say, on their page, when I looked at it on my phone, actually, I saw in their footer that they're using Trustpilot now for reviews, and they're also using reviews.co.uk, and they seem to have really good reviews now on those platforms. And this is a company who have, a lot of people who've been around for a while know that went through a period where they didn't get very good buy-in from the WordPress community as a whole, and were kind of seen as a bit sketchy at times with some of their products. But I've noticed a huge update, a huge improvement in all of their products and stuff over the last year or two. And so I'm seeing these reviews and I'm thinking maybe they're really turning things around, or have been for a long time. I think those guys at WPMU are great. I know a few of them, and I know you do as well, Nathan. Good plugins now, I think, and good products and good people for the most part.
So go back sort of 6 months, and they had I don't know how many, but let's say they had 60 plugins or something, and I think it's fair to say that most of those needed to be let go of, and so they did it. They let go of them, and they figured they kept all the ones that I thought make a sensible modern business. They've got a security offering like hardening, they've got a hosting offering, they've got a conversion offering, they've all of that sort of stuff, the stuff that you would have kept yourself, and they've got rid of the chaff, put it into GitHub, or I think GitHub, and anyway, there we go. So 4.0 hustle from WPMU Dev. which brings us on to the last one, which again, Paul, thank you. You're taking this one. This is all about iThemes security settings. I don't know if you want to spend too long on this, Paul, but here we go.
No, I mean, I use iThemes Pro, and I have always wondered what is the perfect setup. I'm sure anyone who uses WordFence or any of the others wonders, have I got the perfect setup going on here? And this is just awesome because we're working on our standard operating procedures at the moment, and I'm coming up to doing the one where we need to write about our security setup. And they've done the job for me. But this is great because this is a plugin that who as an end user understands all the the nuances of WordPress security. Most of us in the community don't. I don't fully understand it for sure. So just having this explained to me in a video and in a written guide as well is a really good resource. So I mean, I could have done with it a long time ago, but hopefully other plugins within the security space do the same sort of thing if they haven't done already.
Yeah, I just thought it was quite a nice summation.
Yeah, I thought one of the things they've done recently with security is they've added that security dashboard. I found that a really useful addition as well.
Oh yeah.
Paul, I use it as well, and I found that I hadn't really, I don't usually pay attention too much, to be honest with you. But one day I updated some websites, and I was like, "Oh, what's this security dashboard?" And started playing around with that, and that was good to get an understanding of what was going on and what had been going on, and it's really useful addition.
I think they took the lead there from WordFence, who had something similar, and actually they sort of look not the same. That's complete nonsense, but they kind of mimic each other's functionality.
Inspired.
But it was a good it was a good idea, and I like it as well. So okay, good, thumbs up. Nice that they've done your standard operating procedure for you, Paul. That's great.
Yeah, thank you, iThemes.
Yeah, speaking of security, we're going to move on. I'm saying this every week. We're not going to dwell on these, but a couple of security things to notice. The first one is over on the webarchsecurity.com website, and they're talking about a plugin called WordPress Plugin File Manager. They've discovered a whole bunch of, they've discovered multiple vulnerabilities in that plugin. So all I'm going to say is if that name rings a bell, go and check out that article because you might need to take some mitigating action. And icegram persistent cross-site scripting is mentioned over on the security website. So if you use icegram, which is a sort of newsletter, helps you collect email addresses for your newsletter, it is also suffering from a cross-site scripting problem this week. So maybe go check it out and get yourself updated if you need to. Right, couple of things.
Does anyone have a message about Yoast plugin? I had some messages on my managed WP saying that Yoast had a vulnerability in, I think it was like 11.5. I don't know exactly what the version numbers are.
We're on 11.6 now, I think.
Yeah, so there was something up with 11.5, and managed WP flagged those things as important vulnerability updates. So there's another little one there. So if you are running Yoast and you're not on the latest version, then specifically if you're on 11.5, then you definitely want to move to 11.6. Sorry, I didn't really take much notice on exactly what was wrong. I just updated quickly.
No, thank you. No, it's good to know. As always, sage advice is just update everything all the time.
And do a backup before. That's right.
Yes.
Going back to something from a minute ago, David Von Gries, who's watching this, David, who has the Page Builder framework, who is a sponsor of the WP Builds podcast, he's saying that he really likes, he didn't like, but now he really likes the WPMU dev stuff, so that's quite nice. And Alex again commenting saying yes, he saw that a couple of days ago in Managed WP, so I'm presuming he's talking about the Yoast update there. Right, okay, a couple of WP Builds things. I did a podcast this week with David Wormsley called Standing Up to Clients. So if you've, it's just our take on like how we cope with clients or don't cope with clients. What are the tactics that we use when clients get a bit bolshy? And David, as always, with his psychology hat on, has sort of classified clients in such interesting ways as the stalker, the unresponsive, the underminer, the shirker, the non-payer. I love what he does with all this stuff, and it made for an interesting chat. And then we also had a podcast, a webinar, I should say, with Craig Hewitt, who has Castos. So if you want to make a webinar and you want to do it, want to make a podcast and you want to do it with WordPress, go and check out that, because Craig explains how Castos works, and it does it really, really well. And then I got
transcribing.
Yeah, the transcribing thing is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that all the time, and it's like takes seconds. Well, my podcasts are about 50 minutes. It probably takes about 3 minutes, and it returns it, and it mostly correct. It can't do WordPress. Dang it! Always gets it wrong. But it spells it right, but it doesn't get the P, no matter how many times I tell it. Okay, so we've done the regular news.
YouTube videos. Sorry, I love watching. I know. You have to finish at a certain point. But I love watching those YouTube videos that show when auto transcribing's gone wrong.
Oh God, so good.
Things like Disney films and stuff like that. That's my favourite. It's one of my favourite things.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm sort of slightly pressed for time. So, a couple of things that have got nothing to do with WordPress whatsoever. The first one is that Google is pitting its DeepMind technology against players of a game, and I've now forgotten the name of the game, but it's a really popular game. What's it called? StarCraft.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I don't play games of any description, but apparently StarCraft there's a lot concealed. There's a lot going on over there, and you have to use your intuition a lot. So it's a perfect ground to test their AI. Obviously, they've beaten the world's best chess players. They've beaten the world's best Go players, which apparently is like chess on steroids in terms of its levels of difficulty. So now we've got this, and apparently you won't know when you're playing the AI. But this is seen as like a step above that. If Google can pull this off, or Google's DeepMind London-based division can pull this off, that would be quite something. But they're not going to tell you whether you're playing the AI or a human, because they reckon that would force you to play in a slightly different way. But this stuff is, depending on which side of the fence you're on or how you're feeling on this particular day, this stuff terrifies me and amazes me in equal measure.
Yeah.
I bet they couldn't beat Data from Star Trek Next Generation at tri-dimensional chess, though.
No, good Lord, no. I mean,
I bet they're a few years off that yet, I reckon.
Paul, what a question. I mean, come on. That's clear. It's obvious. Data's the winner. Yeah, that's lovely. What a nice comment. Right, okay, Paul, you're up next about Android apps tracking your phone.
Yeah, so this feels like it's one of those articles that should have an article of the reaction to the article. Where we're all furious about it and stuff like that. It's definitely like a I don't know if this is like a feature or a bug they're talking about as such, but I mean it's as far as I can tell, it's kind of saying that even if you tell one app that it doesn't have permission to do this, if you tell another app to say you do, then that app can get data from a shared stored place on your phone or whatever, and then do something with that data, which feels quite bad. I don't know how else to say it, but that's all I've really got to say about that. I don't know too much about it, but it does feel like, if you use anything Google, you're kind of assuming now these days
I mean,
that you've been, your data's there somewhere.
I always think this stuff, for somebody like me, this stuff is completely trivial and unimportant. It's an interesting subject to have, right? Oh, whatever. Some guy has managed to leak my location data. Who cares? All I do is go and collect my kids from school and go to the shops and that kind of thing. There's nothing, but the principle of this stuff is, you might have some data. You might be the kind of person that this is really important to. You're some kind of dissident. You're some person who wants to remain in the clear and be quiet. And you make the assumption that your phone is not going to do this stuff. That the guys who've built these platforms have done it well. My feeling is, and I'm going to get so roasted for this, but my feeling is that Apple lead the way on all this stuff. They build the hardware, they build the software, and they have a platform which I believe to be more secure. Having said all that, I'm on Android because I like the open source nature of it, and I like the fact it's considerably cheaper. That's good as well. But I think this is a case of, if you use the same SDK to create apps, if you share the SDK with another app creator, then you store the location, for example, information in a silo, and it can be shared with other apps that use the same SDK. But it's just a bit scary, isn't it? just a bit
It
scary.
is, yeah.
Isn't that not to start up a conversation here, but isn't that the same as iOS development works too?
Not sure, to be
Like
perfectly
they
honest.
all have the same SDK.
Yes, I think what they said in this article is that it's like so for example, you can use you could use the SDK invented by China's search giant Baidu, so they put one out.
Yeah.
So it's not like the Apple SDK. There's a whole bunch of SDKs that you can use to build apps. So they mentioned 3 or 4 of them, one of which was the Baidu one. There's another one, I can't remember what it was called, by an analytics firm somewhere. So I think that was the problem. It's not even like there's an SDK. There's just like a whole plethora of SDKs, and depending on which one you choose. But it is a bit scary that this thing in your phone could be shopping, telling other people where you are.
Yeah, it's not just our phones as well, though. I mean, I'm not bothered what anyone knows about me. That's fine. But then again, you said, about the school run. We've got kids and stuff like that. My daughter's got a phone. She's got an Android phone, and she has different apps and stuff like that. And we try and control that. But what it means to me, while I don't care about me, it's kind of, is my kids' data being misused about them, and and having their data stored in a database since they're age 10 or 11 or something, without them having any idea. Basically, Dad gave me a phone, and then as a result, 10 years down the line, when they're adults, they realize that the phone that Dad gave them has been taking loads of data and giving it to companies and stuff like that. So that's one thing that just to stir the pot and make people more furious about it.
Because what we need online is more hate. Clearly,
so let's go on Twitter now.
It's very, very important that we all get really angry and cross and shout words like moral panic very loudly, and generally get worried. But anyway, just an interesting thing. If you've got an Android phone, just be careful out there. That's all I'm saying. Last regular one is Google. I'm just going to say this, and I'm not going to get in too many comments if that's all right. Google are going to put a play button in the URL near the URL bar on your Chrome browser. I actually think it's quite a good thing. The amount of times that I am late at night playing something and it comes on too loud, stop. And some video auto plays or something like that. Scroll, where's the video? There, stop! That kind of thing. And I like the idea of there being a play control just to switch that nonsense off. I thought the days of all that was gone. This will probably herald in a new era of autoplay nonsense because everybody knows. But they've got a pause button at the top. We can play what we like. Right, that's it. That's all I got, except one thing from me and one thing from Paul. If you go over to creatorcourses.com, you will find that they had a whole bunch of courses over the last years. They've released a whole ton of courses, and this is just a bit of a shout out to say that all of those courses are now bundled under one roof. You can get a membership there now. So previously you had to buy anything. This is Joe Casabona. He was on the podcast maybe 6 or 8 months ago. Great guy, really knowledgeable, fabulous courses by all accounts, and he's got a membership now. I think it's $150 a year, so you can get all access pass if that's your thing. And finally, Paul, what's your last one?
I just was hunting around for particular functionality the other day and found this fairly newish, I think it was launched last month, plugin by a company called iconicwp.com. And the plugin is called the Iconic Sales Booster for WooCommerce. And to kind of summarize what it does, it's kind of an upsell and cross-sell type plugin. The chap who I spoke to on Twitter said, think of it as increasing your average order value by leveraging proven cross-selling techniques. So if you think about plugins like WooCurve and Cartflows, you can have this kind of at the checkout upsell, the one-click upsell type functionality. But that tends to be just for funnel-based products generally, whereas this is a plugin that allows you to have a at the checkout pop-up type upsell for any type of WooCommerce cart. So whether you've got 50 t-shirts in the cart, based on this sort of priority system in the plugin, it will provide the upsell that is most relevant based on what's in your cart. So I had that requirement, although my client was being a bit cheapskate and said he didn't want to spend the money. But then again, his upsell product wasn't worth much. It was stamps. So I can understand it. But for anyone who does want that kind of checkout based rather than a basket based upsell or cross sell or a bump type offer, it looks really cool, and I've not seen anything out there that does that. I could be wrong, I just couldn't find anything else. So a nice little plugin to check out.
Thank you, that was really nice. I like that. I like the plugin recommendation thing, Paul. I think maybe we should do a bit more of that. That seems like a really interesting way to end the show. Okay, my mind is now spinning with opportunities. I've finished my pint of water. We've gone for more than 60 minutes, so to me we've achieved everything that we wanted to achieve. I've got to head off in a very short amount of time to go and collect my kids from school, but just before I go, I would like to, as always, extend my sincere thanks to Paul, to Jan and to Jay. Thank you so much for making the effort and coming on. And again, at the risk of sounding trite and like I've written that down and it's a script, I really, really, really actually mean it. Thank you very much indeed. I'm very sincere about that. And is there anything, maybe if we go in order, Paul, anything you want to add just before we go?
I'm just going to work super hard this week on finishing as many client sites as possible. That's my week this week, really.
Okay, so we'll ask you that exact same question next week, and you'll tell us the exact same thing.
Please don't hold me to it.
No, it's okay. Jan, anything exciting this week?
Intention and real thing is two different things.
Yeah.
So.
What about you, Jan?
Yeah, nothing too crazy this week, luckily. Just maintaining the client sites, basically. Doing some garden work. We're building a new garden house, so that's going to be most of the priority probably this week.
Nice. I've been digging up trees this week. And Jay, what about you?
Well, this week, it's an interesting one for me. I'm actually doing something completely non-WordPress related. I'm doing a bunch of stuff with big data. So.
Nice.
Oh, and at that point he froze. Oh no. Oh, please.
Big data. Whoop.
Yeah, he's doing something so big with big data, it's completely killed Skype. The data was so big. Yeah. That's such a shame.
He's been censored. He was about to say something.
Jay, I'm gutted that at that point it stopped working. So this is Leo's idea. So, couple of things. Firstly, this is Leo's idea, the egg box, which didn't improve the audio at all. Leo had another good idea, which was that I press this button before we finish the video so that it doesn't end with us awkwardly looking around in all directions. So I'm going to say goodbye, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Take it easy.